Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. Today we're talking about inZOI. This video was co-written with Eric behind the scenes, and all this footage was captured on PC via a review copy. So for 2.5 decades, man, there has been one life sim style game that has dominated the market. Obviously, it's The Sims. Sure, it's not technically the only game in the genre. There's other popular games, but there's nothing else that does exactly what The Sims does. No real major competition to the throne. And some would argue EA has kind of grown complacent and turned The Sims 4, already a controversial launch in the series, into kind of a forever game, meaning just endless DLC and never a big overhaul that some people are looking for. People love The Sims, but some might be getting real sick of the series in its current form, ourselves included, and that's what makes inZOI and its potential really such a breath of fresh air. It's like what we all want to like, but with actual innovation and new ideas. Not just the same old Sims 4 sold piecemeal for like a $40 a pop or whatever. So if you've played The Sims, you'll feel right at home in inZOI. It's pretty much exactly like those games, but with a lot of highly requested features, things that have people been looking for in these games, like actual controllable Sims, or in this game's case, they're called ZOIs. Also a full open world and an actual car that your character can own and drive. I can't understate how just like revolutionary this game kind of feels to play after being stuck with The Sims 4 for over a decade now. This is a game that makes a very good first impression. The character creator is very strong, but the more you spend time with this thing, the stranger it all starts to feel. You start to notice the bizarre little features tucked away in the complicated menus, the baffling framing story, and the many bugs which convalesce together to kind of make our time with inZOI feel like a strange fever dream. That's enough preamble and setup. Let's just get to the point. This game is strange. It's one of the weirdest games we've played all year, and at this point, there's nothing else that really comes close. It's not the gameplay that makes it feel kind of odd, because in many ways, this is literally just The Sims, but more. And if you've played The Sims, then you're gonna feel right at home in this game, because it's functionally the same thing. And in this case, I'm not even saying that that's a bad thing, because up until this point, where we have been, there's no other Sims competitors at all, really. So imagine a world where the original Doom dominated the market so much that nobody even bothered to copy it. There was never even a term for Doom clone that eventually evolved into the entire first-person shooter genre. That's basically what happened here. There's nothing else like The Sims. This is the only one even trying to do what those games do, so while it's derivative in a lot of its ideas, I mean, what else are you gonna do? There's been zero innovation or competition, so anything is better than nothing, right? So when I say the game is just all around crazy, I'm not gonna say that it's bad. It's just extremely early access, and that roughness does add to the overall uncanny nature of the experience. But we're not willing to write it off yet. I do think there's some serious potential here that just needs some time to materialize. So maybe hold off, maybe wait, look into this and see if it's really already delivering what you want, or if it might deliver down the line, because the foundation is there. Look, we're gonna sound like we're being really negative here about this game, because there is a lot about this game that is bizarre and uncanny and awkward and, like we said, straight up baffling, but a lot of that just comes down to how ambitious the thing is. It's a game that's both admirable in a lot of ways, but also extremely cursed in other ways. The strangeness starts right from the opening cutscene, where you see this company that's been run by magic cats, and they're the ones creating the ZOIs or something. So cats are your tutorials. Cats grant you these boons for completing life goals. Cats even rule the underworld. In the land of the ZOIs, cats are gods, but also they work at like a company or something. So the whole presentation of this game has, the forced positivity of a corporate training video that's hard to read as anything but like oddly sinister, The Sims also has us to a certain extent too, but inZOI's uncanny valley visuals and being a part of a business framing story only makes all the other weird features and decisions stand out more. The juxtaposition between like the squeaky clean presentation with the whacked out feature set is what gives the game its character. Whatever you want to like choose to read that as. Look, all it took was getting to the character creation for this whole project to go off the rails when I discovered this little tab that allows you to create AI textures that can be applied to clothing or, well, just about anything. So putting aside the complications of including some kind of AI model in the game and the questions that raises, like where are they sourcing these images from, what tool are they using, and how long are they planning on keeping this up, just ignore all that and focus on the thing that actually matters, which is seeing the kinds of horrors this thing lets you conjure up, man. You just put in a text prompt and the game spits out a texture, treating this feature with the dignity it deserves. Here's like a quick sample of some of the amazing custom textures we were able to create, like too many teeth and stitched flesh, eyes on the inside, and nightmare granny. No matter what you put in, these textures have got the telltale signs of like an AI slop texture. So an actual tool someone might be interested in using to make like real textures is fairly worthless, but to just make strange, stupid stuff, it's good. The actual creator is somewhat limited in regard to facial features, so you're not making like a WWE 2K level nightmare person. The limited tools don't really allow for that completely. You basically get two options for people in the game: uncanny supermodels or Yakuza level freaks that look almost like how you'd imagine a person should look, but kind of off. This is what happens when you try to make a normal person in inZOI. They inevitably fall into category 2. While category 1 characters may look very impressive in the creator, in the actual game, the lighting will fail them, and they'll just look also very weird and off-putting occasionally. It's just inevitable. So being able to change the color and the textures of clothes is pretty good, and the way the game lets you customize certain basic clothing items is awesome, like being able to change the collar and the sleeves on a t-shirt. That stuff's cool. No qualifiers or buts or anything here. That's just good. It's well implemented, and we like to see this in more games. Now, after creating a fashion-forward family, it's time to purchase a lot and build your starter home. For some people, this is the real meat and potato of these games. If you've spent any time with The Sims at all, everything about this process will look familiar. You pick a neighborhood. At this point, the game has 2 cities right now to pick from, either a South Korea inspired one or a California one. You pick an empty plot and then you build your house. The build menu is easy to use. And yeah, I know we're getting tired of mentioning The Sims at this point, but the furniture build options are exactly the same as The Sims. Even with like a little image of different rooms, you can select various pieces of furniture to place. That's all well and good, but the real draw is the crafting menu. This is where the 3D printer option is, and let me tell you guys, this is something. In this menu, you can import 2D images that the game will turn into 3D objects. So sure, in real life, video games will never be your friends, but in inZOI, you can be a virtual game master guy. Like, bring it in. Here, now you can just have a chill hang with Shadow the Hedgehog or Captain Price or the cool banana guy from Fortnite. Like, it's such a pointless, unnecessary inclusion that just makes things that look like potatoes from the side. But I mean, come on, it is incredible. It's just really funny that, we haven't really come very far from importing your face texture on the older NBA 2K games or like Vegas 2 with the Xbox camera. We're still just kind of doing stuff like that. But now, of course, with your house built and properly decorated, I guess it's time to hit the town. Only the town is not looking so good. Blame the city management tab here, which lets you do things like change the weather, add special effects to the sky like fireworks, and decide how clean or run down the city is. Seriously, this is an option. The game starts off at like 100% cleanliness. Everything is super neat and tidy and perfect. But if you want to turn the world into like a post-apocalyptic wasteland where everything is covered in a thick layer of Silent Hill filth, this could really be something. All the trees are dead. The buildings look like burned out husks. It's nuts. Why is this an option in the game? I don't know why. It's just so bizarre that they let you do this. I'm glad they did it. They committed to it. Because seriously, look at this. Is this what you expect from a Sims game? Is this what you expect it to look like? It's kind of amazing, even if it doesn't functionally change anything. Like, all the other ZOIs act exactly the same. The only major difference is that everything you find in the open world, like toys from claw grabbers or just random objects, it's all just covered in dirt. Basically, you can go from like walking around like Barbie's Dreamhouse land to the city from Heavy Rain. But we can't deny that being able to like just walk out from your house and explore the entire map freely with no real restrictions is very cool. It's refreshing. And for this style of game, it's just good to have. Being able to directly control your character is a nice touch. It can be a little awkward around stairs or tight environments, but it mostly works. And you can always fall back on the tried and true just click and go here option when you're stuck. The fact that you have all those alternatives are good. Another great feature in that city management tab I mentioned lets you change the billboards in the city, including the video billboards. You can link any YouTube video you want and it'll just play on the big screen. So yet another feature that's kind of pointless and bizarre in practice, but man, it does actually make the game better. It's really cool to mess with. Same with being able to build wherever you want. So you're not just locked down to building in your plot, actually. For some reason, you can freely just start dropping stuff on the street. So there's nothing stopping you from just kind of being somebody living on the street with a bed and a TV in the middle of a sidewalk. You could just do whatever you want. Here's the dirty little secret about inZOI though. The actual core gameplay just isn't that interesting at the moment. It's like the tools are there, but the rest isn't really. The life goals are pretty dull. Keeping your needs fulfilled is extremely easy, and the ZOIs themselves are all just kind of boring assholes who just want to talk about crypto and investment opportunities all day. Look, I'm betting the game will get more interesting as more actual gameplay features get filled out and they figure out how these people will really talk to each other. But until then, again, it feels really early access, and you just have to kind of make your own fun out of it. Which I definitely did by locking my hapless ZOI into the bathroom and patiently waiting for him to die, which it took a long time. This game really doesn't want to kill you, even if you might wish you were dead looking at this house full of textures that just really don't play nice with the lighting system. Like, look, everything is like often blown out whites and reds. Every texture on the surface has been swapped out with a garbled mess. You can turn every wall into mirrors, glass, or LED screens. You can just go full ugly mode everywhere whenever you want. The game goes buck wild and lets you just make the most hideous nightmare houses you want. So we did go all in and mess around with that. But when your character does finally die, it literally takes like multiple days with red bars to do it. That cat of the underworld appears and offers to let your ZOI live again as a ghost, which sounds amazing. Only it's not actually in the game yet. It's just another, point of early access. Well, if you can't die and become a ghost, you might as well see how we can ruin other people's lives in a car. Yes, another highly requested feature from The Sims. This game lets you own a car and use it to get around town. Just don't buy the car in the build menu. That's a prop. The ones you can actually drive, you have to buy from the phone. The basics of car ownership are pretty straightforward enough. It's a way to get around town without taking the public transport, but the real fun starts when you turn on manual driving. So the driving itself in inZOI isn't great, to put it mildly. The car controls like garbage. It's like completely frictionless, and bumping into anything causes an infinite shower of sparks, and you can't even run anyone over. I mean, yeah, you can bump into them over and over again, and sometimes they disappear, but they mostly just act vaguely inconvenienced when you ram into them at highway speeds. The only real damage you can do is if you drive into another car. The owner will get out and do a little moan and then drive away. That's it. That character that you hit just likes you less now. There's another hidden danger to driving, though. Sometimes your car will just straight up take you to the space under the world. In general, pathfinding is kind of all over the place in this game and adds to the uncanny atmosphere. Randomly, your Zoi will just walk through things. Sometimes they get locked into a path and there's no way to get them to stop. They'll just keep walking through buildings until they reach whatever imagined destination they have planned. And there's nothing really you can do to stop it. Manual controls are locked and you can't stop their current action. So you're just stuck. Again, this game is very, very early access. I'm willing to overlook a lot because of it, but there's just no getting around it. inZOI in its current state is very buggy. Buggy as hell right now. You can't go 10 minutes without some graphical glitch or bizarre behavior from your characters. The game also crashes a lot. Like, seriously, we had it like every 20 minutes or less for us. I mean, I know this is supposed to be early access, but maybe they could have let this one cook for at least a few more months because we did pay money for this thing and, you know, we want it to actually exist and run on our machines. So again, I say that it's a breath of fresh air and there is potential here, but the current state, as of the time of putting out this video, they might update it soon, but it definitely has some technical issues. Still, that craziness never ends because there's somehow even more extra features in this thing. You can also use facial mapping to make your Zoi animate like a virtual avatar. Now, we weren't able to get it to work, but it's nuts that this is even an option. You can't actually do anything with it. There's no multiplayer or anything, but it's there. Same for motion capture. I don't even know how you're meant to do that. I guess you need an entire motion capture rig to get that to work. I don't know. There are simpler animation options, at least, like the emote generator that lets you import images or video into the game and it'll convert them somehow into animation. This is just as effective as you'd imagine, as in not very, like at all. The actual rules for getting this to work are strict. So in its current state, inZOI is more of a collection of bizarre features than a game. More potential than an actual good, competent product yet. Normally this wouldn't be a problem as a sim-style sandbox game, like we're just all for it. You know, the more dumb, seemingly disconnected, half-baked, barely functional features, the better. It makes for one of the stranger experiences of the year. Even with all of its early access problems, it's still compelling. There's still some charm there. There's something there, especially for people who just like to get like really experimental and mess with all the little features and settings. A lot of this stuff is either mostly pointless, barely functional, or both, but we can't deny that it does add something to the experience. So, all joking aside, the current state of the game is extremely rough, but we still think the game has a lot of potential. It might take a while, but there are really a lot of things that we like here as a potential competitor to The Sims. If this game eventually manages to iron out all of the bugs and add some actual depth to the gameplay part, then we'll be set. Currently though, unless you're like me and you just like to experiment and mess around with dumb settings, there's not a lot to keep you playing this game in the long term. The actual gameplay component is just too thin and incomplete to strongly recommend. But I will say, it's something to keep an eye on. Considering this launch, I guess, popped off, it seems like these developers got a bunch of money for it, so I'm really hoping they stick with it and really realize the potential of this game. But that's a before you buy. You know how this works by now. We give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now we want to hear yours down in the comments. What's your experience with this? Were you looking forward to it? It was really, really high on people's Steam wish lists, so let us know how you're feeling. Let us know if you have any experience with The Sims or anything like that at all. If this video helped you out, maybe informed your purchase, you know, seeing the gameplay, anything like that, clicking the like button helps us out. We really appreciate that. Again, I'm Jake, but big thanks to Eric behind the scenes, our co-writer, for having my back on this one. Sometimes it's a team effort here, but like I said, clicking the like button helps us. Thank you. And if you're new, consider subscribing because we put out videos every single day. But either way, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.